another edition of our UpClose interviews, a short video segment in which we get a chance to talk with market experts about the most pressing topics in the industry. Today, we're hosting Klaus Hofmeister, Product Marketing Manager at Trina Solar. As a global provider for PV modules and smart energy solutions, Trina has deployed over 70 gigawatts worth of modules around the world. Klaus, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Alfonso, for having me here in this interview.
Excellent. Yeah, and the topic for today's interview, we'll be discussing component standardization and what this means for the industry. So I guess to start off, Klaus, what are your thoughts with component standardization as a whole? Where do you see the industry? Which direction do you think the industry will be heading?
Well, we see this component standardization from Trina's side in different ways. First of all, I mean, Trina, especially with the new, let's say, 210 millimeter technology platform, we are driving this standardization within the 600 watt plus PV Open Innovation Ecological Alliance. This is definitely one of the driving forces upstream and downstream the value chain within the PV industry to build up the environment around the 210 millimeter technology platform. This alliance should enable all the players within the value chain to align properly on all the components, to identify bottlenecks, and to exchange within the R&D process for the overall benefit on the system perspective. Where do we see that standardization of the components specifically right now, especially on the module side? The key players in that technology platform, they have aligned already on standardized sizes for the modules. Yeah, that helps on one side downstream all the customers, let's say, to wherever they're going to get the modules from. They have more or less the same planning, the same engineering, so nothing to change whenever they switch the supplier. And it also helps upstream. I mean, it also, let's say, makes the selection, the confidence in the product itself better. So overall, I would say standardization definitely drives the ease of use of the product. It creates confidence at the customer, it creates confidence at, let's say, all the participants, but it also, let's say, creates a kind of a safe market environment by using the products we are, let's say, deploying towards the market. Yeah,
great. Makes sense. I think what you highlight there on bankability is particularly important, especially now with more and more different types of investors joining the solar field. At the end of the day, everyone wants a bankable project. In terms of modules and their standardized sizes, let's say, what do you see for the future of modules specifically?
That's a good point to raise, because where do module dimensions go? I mean, at the moment we are seeing the biggest modules in the 210 millimeter cell size arena. So the modules are almost 2.4 by 1.3 meters in dimensions. That is a size where we say, okay, we can hardly get better or bigger. I expect that modules at the moment stay at this point, at this dimensions, because we have to look at the different aspects on module sizes. First, the handling part, the logistics part, putting the modules into a container and get it shipped over. That is another critical part which we need to consider when we design new module dimensions. And then, of course, we are now offering a huge portfolio for the different applications and different market segments. So I would expect at the moment the size discussion is rather in the background than, let's say, we are going to see new, even bigger modules. Yeah, that is what I see in the short and midterm. On the long term, there might be some changes, but this is more driven maybe due to, cost perspective and other aspects, maybe even lowering LCOE and those kind of topics which are critical and necessary to make projects profitable.
Yeah, great. And then that kind of covers the module side of things, and of course the other key component would be the inverter in these solar plants. And what trends do you see there? And also, if you can kind of help out our audience in understanding, why is it so important to have inverters and panels that are fully compatible? What are the advantages versus just random panels that you connect with your inverters?
I mean, with a new technology platform, we also have, let's say, somehow brought a new module concept into the market. It's a high current module with a lower voltage, and that requires, of course, some adaptation on the inverter side. Trina definitely is closely monitoring the inverter market and is also, let's say, in close contact with some of the key inverter manufacturers. For that reason, we have done our homework pretty well. So we have first of all got in touch with the main participants in that market, and we are definitely, let's say, informed them about our plans for the new product generation. So the high current, which is the critical part of the new inverter generations, was highlighted to them early enough. And for that reason, in order to, let's say, help and support our customers with the system design, with system planning, with engineering, we are offering a tool on an internet-based platform, which, let's say, provides the customer with inside information. We call it the PV Project Design Assistant. And with that tool, you can choose our module, an inverter type, and even a tracker if you want to be compatible with each other. And that tool helps definitely to select the right components and let's say the right module plus inverter plus even a mounting system or a tracking system if you want to have it. And that is, I think, the key to success, because if module and inverter do not play together, then I think the whole project or system design is a difficult part. And that is where we also want to create confidence for customers that, okay, here is the kit for you to be used. And that helps, of course, to also accept the new module generations. And unfortunately, let's say we have to say that the different technology platforms are not compatible with each other. So for our module design and for our specific 210 millimeter modules, you need to select your components properly.
Great, makes sense. And then at the end, you're already talking a bit about trackers. I mean, if you imagine, modules and inverters are the two main components, of course, trackers are right there behind them. And what are your thoughts in terms of sizing? I mean, I imagine it's the same goal, right? You want to somehow standardize them and allow owners to just pick and choose specific products. But how do you see this as a whole?
We see this as a whole like this because of the new module dimensions and let's say, especially of the high power module, we need to adapt all the trackers in the different, let's say, different parts. So it requires, because of the lower voltage, let's say, concept, we also need longer trackers because we can go for longer strings to achieve the 1500 volt maximum system voltage. This needs or requires from all the tracker manufacturers that they adapt the trackers partly to, let's say, cope with the new requirements of the module. This also means, but at the end, if you adapt the trackers, the overall system consideration and the LCOE goes down. So that for us and for all the participants in the value chain, that helps. And this is also driven in this so-called 600 watt plus alliance, which we set up. So all those manufacturers are getting together. Trina is not only coming up with their own tracker solution, but we are also working with other tracker manufacturers together to evaluate our modules, to evaluate our technology and our platforms, and to make sure we can offer a combination of module, inverter, and tracker, which is then best for the customer need, for the specific location, and for the specific project.
Great, thanks for highlighting the whole value chain there. To conclude, and you've already mentioned it a couple of times, maybe if you want to expand on the alliance you're talking about, I think it could be interesting to hear about it, and especially how it relates to standardization and to the idea of ensuring bankability for as many projects as possible.
Yeah, the alliance at the moment contains around about 89 companies, all, let's say, along the value chain, from cell and wafer manufacturers up to, let's say, mounting system manufacturers. And that gives us a chance to have an overview and to align along this value chains with all the components. This means there is something in it for all of them. Everybody can get information. We can, let's say, clearly identify bottlenecks. We can identify technical issues and problems which we can solve upfront before it comes to, let's say, an issue at the customer side and at the project planning phase or engineering phase. So that makes the alliance a getting together of all the key players in the value chain to bring all the knowledge together, to exchange, to align, and to make sure everything is ready when there is a system designer approaching us.
Great, yeah, makes sense. So the goal of this alliance basically is to exchange know-how and information to try to make it as easy as possible, let's say, for asset owners or investors to really understand how every product fits with each other.
Correct. That's the aim of the alliance, to make sure everything is, let's say, deployed easily to the market and to the projects.
Yeah, great. Well, Klaus, thank you very much for your time. Quite an informative interview. If anyone is interested, we have plenty of other resources from Trina Solar as well on our website. You can check that out at solarplaza.com. Thanks for your time, Klaus.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and all the best.
Thanks.